Liels paldies mūsu viesim no Japānas. Un tagad, tā kā mēs esam jau ļoti nokavējušies mūsu programmā, es gribētu ātri atlidot atpakaļ līdz Rīgai. Gundega Laiviņa, mūsu mākslinieckās padomas.
Gundega Laiviņa is the curator of our artistic council. Gundega, you can stay on. In fact, she was a person who, before Latvia had acceded the EU, she organized the European Cultural Month. She has her experience already in organizing European cultural events, and she's going to tell us about what we're planning to do in Riga neighborhoods. Therefore, that's why these 58 cities, it's very much about what sort of life Gundega is going to have the coming 2 years, and about the places she will have to be. Gundega, the floor is yours. Good evening indeed. It seems to me that we have to open now Zunda Lighthouse but I will try to be very quick about it, and I will not be able to say everything. Unfortunately, I will not be able to tell at the moment. I will not tell you what we are going to do in the program section roadmap. I was planning to do it, but then I understood that all the projects which are in that project segment are so fragile and that is such an early development stage that I don't want to talk about those, and I don't want to speak about them. I don't want to show pictures about them. There's one thing, though. When I went through the list, which contains about 20 different projects, I concluded that entirely in all the projects at different statuses, in a certain way, the Riga residents are participating as a main characters, heroes, or as a co-creators, and therefore at least all that has been achieved by this project. I'm thinking about Riga and 58 Rigas. Now, recently I experienced an event which left upon me a very deep impact, and I decided rather to tell you about it. In October, I had an opportunity, together with a group of artists and academics, to go around Riga. And also, I went into the neighborhoods I'd never visited before, places I'd never visited before in Riga. And we went to such places where thousands of people live, and went to places or neighborhoods where only the birds and animals live. And in one October afternoon, we also went by boat from Tīšezeres Lake to Bolderāju neighborhood. And one of the most impressive scenes that I still remember is Krivu Island, which is one of the islands in the Daugava River, and it's now covered in sand. It looks like a desert. Some years ago, when I passed this island, there were thousands and thousands of seagulls. And now then we went onwards, and then we turned off the Daugava River towards Spilve Meadows side, and we went as far as the railway bridge, and then we looked at the allotment gardens that quite recently, during one night, was burnt down. And the reason was development of the city of Riga. And I think you know also that there are some places in Skanstans, Tornkalns used to be allotment gardens which are non-existent because Riga is implementing its development plans, urban development plans. And in these allotment gardens, we met Riga residents and also the gardeners who still are going to get the harvest. And despite the damages, these plants are kept growing all the summer. The most touching and the most surreal moment was to see grapes that were still there, which are very tasty and juicy, although the gardens are not there anymore. We also met an old woman who was very militantly aspiring. She was very militant. She said she is continuing to live there. She's been living there for many years, and she's going to go on living there, despite the fact that these people have no place to reside, in fact, actually, anymore. And we also went to Bābelīte Lake, where I'd never been before. That is Riga alternative power plant, which was built before the war, and it was destroyed at the end of the war. It is a very impressive place in the context of the whole of Riga. By the Jewish cemetery, I met, for instance, a woman who, during 20 years, is still selling flowers, and she's doing it every day. And she said that during the times of Soviet times, she used to be in the Latvian team, Latvian bicycle team, and she went to London to compete. Not far from Pomermuža, there was a place. I don't know if you know that story. If you go to that place, you have the feeling like 100 years ago, maybe even more. It seems that nothing has changed there at all. And also during this journey, for the first time I was in Jumprav Sala Island Gardens, which exist. I met Rasma, a lady who is struggling for retaining, for keeping these allotment gardens or family gardens. And I saw that these allotment gardens are kind of Soviet time idea, but she said that since the 16th century these gardens have been there, and in the 17th century Jumprav Sala gardens supplied cabbage to the whole of Riga, she mentioned. She knew that. And all these things seemed so enormously important, and working also with the program Roadmap 2014, I decided that by the end of next year, I will go to all the neighborhoods of Riga, otherwise I don't feel comfortable to work with this component of the program.
Ceļu kartes koordinēšana ir viena.
Coordinating of the roadmap is one reason for doing this. The other reason is that I do like Riga. I love Riga, and to see Riga from this perspective is as important as to see the shining Riga. I think that this is the main task, one of the main tasks of the program and our activities, to leave our comfort zone and to document Riga the way it is presently. Maybe it will make me lose my illusions that culture and art are very welcome in every household, or that culture and art must be delivered to every household. Obviously, I will have to realize that Riga is not always an open, vibrating, vibrant European metropolis. The city is much more complex, but more interesting too. And those complicated places are the ones which inspire the most valuable artwork. As to the focus of the roadmap, without discussing specific projects, I would like to say that there are two things which are the goals of this program. One is to document the portrait of the present-day Riga and to do it with artistic means, either with films, books, or theater productions. But this documenting is very important because I believe that it has been somewhat neglected by artists. And Riga citizens will take an active part in this process. The other section or area to be covered by the roadmap is a series of activities with the purpose of decentralizing the highly centralized cultural map of Riga, both geographically and mentally. As a coordinator of all this section, I believe that my task is to make sure that organizers of the activities, the producers, would be uncompromising about implementing the task, regardless of whether the events are organized in the center of Riga or in some remote neighborhood outside it. And it's important to organize events which would reach the public and would be for the residents, for the local residents, but not for outsiders only. And with 2014 approaching, I'm often asked a question which I'm not really responsible for or not authorized to answer. And the questions are about the cultural infrastructure in Riga. Since many cultural capitals can pride themselves in highly developed cultural infrastructure thanks to this year of being the cultural capital. And I assessed the situation and concluded that of 58 neighborhoods, functioning cultural infrastructures are available only in 23, which is less than half. And the 4 larger and with neighborhoods with the highest number of population have 0 number of buildings dedicated for cultural and art events. After being on the team of 2014 for about a year, this doesn't seem to me the most acute problem. It is much more important for me to make a 2014 program which would enlarge the number of responsible and free people in this capital. And my own task is to make sure that people gain a new understanding of the concept of culture. Very often, art dares to oppose culture and dares to be negative, challenging, and uncomfortable. And this phenomenon seems important to me, and I hope that we will reach this by our program. Thank you.